Decades had passed since anyone dared to venture near the old, abandoned mine. A relic of a bygone era, it was a gaping chasm in the heart of the forest, its mouth choked with rusted iron and crumbling stone. The mine was a spectre, shrouded in whispers and hushed tales of the nearby town's folk. They spoke of miners, hard-working souls, who ventured deep into the mine's belly only to vanish without a trace. Their horrified screams were said to reverberate in the mine's labyrinthine tunnels for days, before an eerie silence would descend. In the town's tavern, over mugs of frothing ale, the locals would exchange these chilling tales. The mine, they said, was cursed. It was a place of darkness, where went to die. It was a place of despair, where hope was swallowed whole. For decades, the mine remained untouched, its secrets locked away in its shadowy depths. Enter our three protagonists, Jake, Eric and Lisa, thrill-seeking college students who had heard the stories and decided they weren't enough. They wanted more than whispered tales and half-remembered urban legends. They wanted proof. They wanted to document the mine's chilling secrets to share with their legion of online followers. Equipped with the bravado of youth, they saw the mine not as a place of dread, but as a challenge to be conquered. They were armed with more than just flashlights and cameras. They bore the unyielding spirit of adventure, the insatiable curiosity that had led them to the mine's rusted gate. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, they stood before the mine. The echoing silence was almost deafening, the stagnant air heavy with the scent of damp earth and decay. But they didn't. With a sense of grim determination, they pried open the rusted gate, its protest echoing in the stillness. Armed with flashlights, cameras and bravado, they pried open the rusted gate and ventured inside. Little did they know their adventure was just. The mine was awake, and it was waiting. The air inside the mine was thick, stale and heavy with the scent of damp earth and rusted metal. The atmosphere was almost tangible. Like a living entity, it seemed to breathe with a life of its own. It was a world untouched by sunlight, a place where time seemed to have stood still, trapped in an eternal. The trio's laughter, once loud and boisterous, had faded into nervous whispers. The mine was a labyrinth, a maze of tunnels splitting off in impossible directions, each one darker and more ominous than the last. It was as if they were being swallowed whole by the belly of a beast, the darkness enveloping them in its cold, unfeeling grasp. And then it began. The first sign that they were not alone in this forgotten underworld. A faint, breathy whisper that seemed to slither through the air like a serpent on the hunt. It was barely audible, yet it sent chills down their spines. "Did you hear that?" Lisa's voice trembled, her flashlight shaking in her hand. "Probably just air moving the tunnels," Eric tried to reassure her, but his voice wavered, betraying his fear. But then the unthinkable happened. The flashlight in Jake's hand flickered and went out. The tunnel was plunged into darkness, the silence shattered by the sharp clatter of the flashlight hitting the ground. "What the hell?" Jake's voice echoed in the darkness. When he switched the flashlight back on, they saw it. A figure at the edge of the tunnel, its shape unsettling, its head tilted at an unnatural angle, and then, as quickly it had appeared, it vanished. Panic set in like a wildfire, spreading through their bodies, quickening their pulse. They turned to leave, their hearts pounding in their chests. But the tunnel behind them had changed. The path they had taken was no longer there. The mine had shifted, reshaping itself, trapping them in its depths. Panic set in. They turned to leave, only to realize the tunnel behind them had changed. They were lost, and they were not alone. Then the whispers started again, closer. Murmurs seemed to ooze from the very rock around them, slithering into their ears. Lisa's blood ran cold as a spectral hand brushed her shoulder. The shock shot through her like lightning, sparking a primal instinct. "Run!" she screamed, and they obeyed. Footfalls echoed around them, a desperate symphony of fear. The darkness seemed to close in, the tunnel narrowing as if trying to swallow them whole. Their flashlights bobbed and weaved, creating a strobe-like effect that made the walls appear to move. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of unseen voices that filled the air with a chilling symphony of dread. Suddenly, Jake tripped, his body hitting the ground with a thud that echoed through the tunnel. Lisa and Eric skidded to a halt, their eyes wide as they watched their friend being dragged into the impenetrable darkness by an unseen force. Jake's terrified screams echoed in the tunnel, a chilling soundtrack to their worst nightmares. Panic took over, their minds screaming at them to keep moving, to get out. With Jake's screams still echoing in their ears, they turned and ran, their breath ragged as they sprinted through the twisting tunnels. The air grew thick, almost tangible, as if the mine itself was trying to hold them back. Their hearts pounded in their chests, their lungs screamed for air, but they couldn't stop. Not when they could still hear the whispers, feel the cold fingers of dread trailing down their spines. The tunnels seemed to stretch on forever, a never-ending maze of darkness and fear. Every turn they took seemed to lead them deeper into the abyss. Every step took them further from the safety of the outside world. But then they saw it, a glimmer of light, a beacon of hope. The exit sprinted towards it, the light growing brighter with every step. And then they were out, collapsing onto the damp earth, gasping for air, their bodies trembling from exertion and terror. They were safe. But Jake was gone. They burst out of the mine, collapsing onto the damp earth outside, gasping for air. Jake was gone. The search crews found no trace of him, and the townsfolk begged them never to return. Once tranquil town was now gripped by a chilling fear, a haunting echo of the past. The mine was once again sealed, a silent testament to the terror it held within. The search for Jake was futile, as if the mine had swallowed him whole, leaving no trace behind. Eric and Lisa, they tried to tell their story, their encounter with the unspeakable horror they had witnessed. But their words were met with disbelief. Their recollections, fragmented and hazy, seemed like a bad dream, a nightmare that refused to let go. The tangible proof they sought was lost, swallowed by the darkness of the mine. Lisa was forever marked by the encounter. The laughter, the thrill, the terror, all faded into a distant memory. But sometimes, when Lisa closed her eyes, she swore she could still hear the whispering, the whispers from the forgotten mine, a bone-chilling tale etched in her mind forever. And the mine? It remains, waiting for the next fool to enter. This tale serves as a chilling reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows of our curiosity. The unknown is not always meant to be explored, and some doors, once opened, can never be closed again. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles, if you dare.